I'm Lisa Shockley, Curator of Collections for the Kansas City Museum, and we are in the Kansas City History Galleries on the second floor. Particularly, we are at the entrance to. The two items that you see in this case are not necessarily connected to Kansas City itself. Both of these pieces were made before Kansas City existed as a community, as a town. But they're related to events that shaped how our region's history formed. Not everybody who came through our region was willing. And in 1795, the first Treaty of Greenville was signed in Greenville, Ohio. And that treaty was between the government of President George Washington and several of the native tribes who were living in the Ohio River Valley at that time. And it was trying to limit where the Native American Indians would be and where the white people coming in, what lands would belong to who. And that medal was given to a man named White Swan. And White Swan was a member of the Way. And the Way, at that time, unfortunately, it's a group that no longer exists. As a separate entity. They were a subset or a sub-tribe of the Miami. And eventually, the Miami were moved through this area, moved into Oklahoma. And they actually ended up on a reservation in the 1870s in Oklahoma, or what was then called Indian Territory. The pipe is from the Second Treaty of Greenville in 1814. And that was presented, the particular one that we have is from the Shawnee tribe. And it was presented to a gentleman whose name was Tarhe, which translates roughly to the crane. And there were three of these pipes made. The government commissioned them from a silversmith in Pennsylvania named James Richardson. And there were three pipes made, and each one is engraved for a different tribe. The Shawnee, the Delaware, and the Wyandot. These pipes were given when the second treaty was signed, which was basically forcing any of the native peoples who still lived in the Ohio River Valley, they were being moved. A number of them, they moved to Kansas City first, Shawnee Indian Mission, Shawnee. Then eventually they were moved out of the Kansas City area and moved into Indian Territory, into what's now Oklahoma and Kansas area. But there were three pipes made. Two of them still exist as far as we know. The one that we have here, which is the pipe that was presented to the Shawnee. The pipe that was presented to the Delaware still exists, and it is in the collections of the Smithsonian Institute. The third pipe given to the Delaware, the third pipe was given to the Wyandot. And what became of that pipe, nobody knows exactly what happened to that one now. The two pipes that do still exist, the Smithsonian brought them into their labs a few years ago, and they ran some tests on them and determined that they had been smoked. The Delaware one had been used a little bit more than the one that we have. And also the pipe stem on one of the pipes had been broken and repaired. So if you see them side by side, they're not 100% identical anymore, except for the pipe bowls themselves.